Hey KV, how are you? Welcome everybody. Hello everyone. Good morning, good morning. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. Holy cow. It's Halloween. I'm going as a disgruntled old white guy that yells at people to get off his lawn. That's what I'm going as. What about you guys? Yeah, I did a live last night and now we're going to do one this morning, so it's great. It's great. The legs are healing up and it's getting better. It's getting better. So my right foot is still really bothering me, but my left knee is feeling a lot better. So let me invite Mr. Bowman up here. Hey, John, how are you?
Good morning, Will. How are you? I'm becoming more TikTok savvy this
Yeah,
morning.
you'll be an old pro before today is over, my friend. Hold on one second here. I'm gonna make the screen a little bit bigger and see if we can get us both up here in interview mode, as they say. So welcome. So right here at the beginning, John, we're just going to give everybody a chance to log in and get on here, and so we give them a few minutes to do that, and then we'll get started. Just so you know, right at the beginning, you'll think this is pretty cool. We've got a big event coming up in Washington D.C. So one of my good friends that's helping me organize at OJW here is going to jump on, and we're going to talk about that for just a second in the beginning, and then we're going to jump into our interview. So
Hey, how's it going, buddy?
good. So
Awesome.
John, this is Jordan, and OJW is from Minnesota, and he is helping me put together. We're putting together a huge event out in Washington D.C., John, where we're going to go out there and make some good trouble.
Love
Off
it.
to wagon. This is John Bowman. John is the former president of the St. Louis County NAACP, a good friend of mine, and he's also running for the state senate here in Missouri.
Oh, that's
So
awesome. I mean,
yeah,
I feel bad that you live in Missouri, but that's
yeah,
awesome that you're trying to make it better.
Well, I appreciate the sympathy. We need it here.
yeah.
And
We've
just for
always got Oklahoma to look down on, though, John. You know what I mean?
well,
So
just for clarification too, Will, I am in emeritus status as president of the NAACP, so I still hold tremendous amount of executive power behind the curtain.
yeah, no. Yeah, I
Yes.
quote you all the time. I don't know if you remember, John, but about a year ago, we were kind of talking about, meeting people when they make the decision that they made a mistake voting for Donald Trump, and what do we do when they come back to us? And I don't know if you remember this, but I told you, well, we got to meet them halfway. And you made the point, we don't meet Nazis and racists halfway, but everybody else is okay. And I
Yeah, yeah,
quote that.
yeah.
I quote that all the time, John, all the
Well,
time.
here's the thing with that though, because they've done this whole purple revolution thing that kind of went around as a trend
Yeah,
for a flash in the pan, which is I knew all it was going to be. But the thing is, it's like where's left to meet them? Like we're already doing the things. Like they don't need us to meet them anywhere. Either you're a fascist or you're not, and you're
yeah,
coming to our side and trying to undo this shit show, or you're
yeah,
continuing down the road you're on, or you're slinking back into your shadows. But there's
yeah.
nothing that we need to do
Because
to
we've
change
had
our
both things
actions.
happen, right? And yeah, that's my definition of it is just when they come over to us, just saying, okay, you can help make things better. Not
Mhm.
going to where they are and trying to,
No.
although I do a lot of that too. I got to be honest. I go out and speak to these,
Well,
conservative groups in the hopes that I can win some of them over,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
the
I mean, and
pickings are slim. Let's put it that way.
I applaud you for your efforts because
Yeah.
it's like I
Yeah.
try to talk and be open-minded to everybody's views, but it always end up being one-sided on their part.
no.
So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
running into a brick wall.
Well, and the
And, and,
challenge is too is that and it's like, can we take advantage of this? Yes, but the really disappointing thing is how many people are only switching over when it hurts them.
hmm
That's kind of the final litmus test is when their farm blows up or they lose their job in rural America.
They
That
lose
seems
their
to be
SNAP benefits. They
exactly.
lose their health care.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, hey, everybody, welcome today. I want to welcome everyone into the live. John, just so you know, typically my lives are not as big as off your wagons. I usually only have about 15 to 25,000 people that come through, but that's a pretty good audience. That's a pretty good audience.
That if that's not a humble brag, I don't know what the fuck is.
That's, you know, I've been mastering that. I've been paying attention to you, man. Trust me, I have been. But what we wanted to do in the beginning, everybody, before we jump into it with John, who I'm very excited to talk with today, Off Your Wagon and I wanted to talk about this big event that we're doing in Washington, D.C. And I got to tell everybody, okay, I'm going to brag about you a little bit, Off Your Wagon. Whenever we came up with this idea at Back 40 Action, there was one person that I thought of to help me do this, because we had met online before, but then on top of that, we got to go to Farm Aid together. And
awesome.
I mean, without too much bromance, we just hit it off. I mean, we've become, I think, really good friends.
Absolutely.
And or at least on my part, I may be the aloof guy.
No. We
so-
are very good friends. You're definitely
Yeah.
one of my favorite people that I've met online through this whole TikTok sphere. And
Yeah. Well, and I joke with him all the time, guys. I tell him, he's like, anytime I've got to do something technical or I need like witty, acerbic wit, I always tell him, you got to do this video, or you've got to, because he's still got that, and I've lost it because I'm 57 now. But we're doing something really incredible, guys. I'm going to head out on November 6th, and I'm going to go to Washington, D.C., and I'm going to meet Off Your Wagon and some other great creators in Washington, D.C. on November 10th. Along the way, I'm going to be stopping at some of these competitive congressional districts, John, including Ann Wagner's district in St. Louis. And I'm going to be meeting with people that live in these districts that are suffering because of the changes in the OBBB bill. And we're going to be talking with them about, what does it mean for you to lose your SNAP benefits? What does it mean for your child with disabilities to lose their Medicaid benefits? We're gonna do this media on the way out, and then when we get there, OJW, why don't you tell them what we're going to be doing when we get there and how cool that is?
Man, we are going to be doing a lot of things. All right. My wife's a little upset that I'm leaving for so long, but I really do think it's important to be out there on the ground in DC at this point, fighting the fight where our leaders are, because clearly with all the No Kings protests and everything, we're sending a message, but it isn't loud enough. They aren't listening. And so we feel like we need to get in their face. And we got really inspired by what like Flair is doing out there, just having a tent all the time. And we're like, you know what? Rural America needs some representation out there, because rural America is really getting hit one of the hardest through all of this. You know, poverty is high in rural America. Healthcare access is low in rural America. And now with this shutdown and with all the things that are going to come through with this, bad bill, it's really going to, it's going to end people's lives. People will die, and I'm not being hyperbolic. I'm not being alarmist. People will die as a result of this because they're not going to have access. And Will has a story about how he almost died when he was a kid in rural America because of the lack of access to healthcare that has been reformed now to a degree. Obviously, it's still terrible, but it was much worse, and it will get much worse if we allow this to go through. So we're going to sit there. We're going to organize congressional visits. We're going to go knock on Congress people's doors, talk to them about what we're doing. We're going to go, I doubt the Republicans will be there, but we will film ourselves going to their door and knocking on it and asking them where the hell they are and say that we're here. Why aren't you here doing your job that you were hired to do by the constituents? We're going to bring out farmers. We're going to bring out members of the Farmers Union, representatives of rural community. We're going to bring out Little Lobbyists, which is a great organization. Yep. That has that represents and advocates for kids with complex medical needs and disabilities. We're going to bring some of them out and make sure that we put them right in the face of these people who are hurting them, these legislators. We're going to show them that these are the people whose lives you're affecting negatively by not doing your job and taking care of the people that you need to represent. We're gonna be standing out there next to the veterans, and we are going to just be talking to people on the street. We're gonna have a tent out there in Union Station for a couple weeks, and just trying to communicate and educate people about what is going on and how this is affecting them and what they can hopefully do to help make changes. And then we're going to end it all up with a massive protest. We're joining Remove the Regime, been working with them too. For the huge protest on November 22nd in D.C. We're going to march on the Capitol, go see the White House before, Great Value Gold member finishes tearing the whole fucking thing down. And we are going to tell them that we will not be ignored. We expect our government to work for us, and we need your guys' support to do that. This is going to cost us a lot of money to get all these people out there to make sure that their stories are told. We really think it's important that it's done in person. So if you guys can support us, that means a lot. If you guys can come out and volunteer, that means a lot. And above anything else, if you guys can be there on November 22nd, we need just an overwhelming number of people to be there. So yeah, that's what we're doing. What else you got to add, Will?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to make a comment to Pings down in the comments. It's like, don't come into the live at the very beginning and start judging the thing before you even take the time to listen to what we're going to do. Talking to legislators is only a small part of what we're trying to accomplish here. We're doing a lot of things while we're out there. Number one, we're going to be bringing personal stories to Washington, D.C. and doing a hell of a lot of personal media around that. These stories are going to be going out all over the country from 15 of the largest creators on social media, talking about young kids with disabilities, teachers that have to buy their own school supplies and teach out of books that are 5 to 7 years old, all the other things that are happening in this country. So these legislative visits are only a part of it. And I've got news for you. Guess what? We can go stand there and scream all we want, but we don't pass the laws in this country. So to say that you're going to accomplish change without talking to the people that pass the laws doesn't make any sense at all. And there's no hate there, okay? Mm-hmm. I'm just telling you that if we want to affect change, we've got to elect people like John, who we know stand on the right side of the issues. And we've also got to convince the people that are there to do the right thing as well. And by telling the story of the people that won't do the right thing, then we can kick them out of office when the election rolls around next year and get people there who will. So that's the accomplishment. It's not just going up there and hoping that people that are deaf to our needs are going to listen to us for a change. That's just one small part. So
well, it's because we're going to have tons of media out there too. I mean, what coverage did you line up for this, Will? I mean, we've got some major media.
Yeah, we've got Don Lemon, I think, is going to be coming to cover it. We're going to have people there from MSNBC and CNN and a couple of other really large independent journalists there. And I think we're actually even going to have somebody there from Japanese international media, German international media, and French international media. So it's not.
Yeah, so like just to make the point is like we're not expecting to knock on these Congress people's doors and expecting them to change their mind. But what we are expecting to do is get how cold-hearted they are on camera to the people whose lives they're actually affecting and just show how heartless and disgusting these people are and get their constituents to put pressure on them to either do the right thing because the people voting them in and out is who they ultimately answer to, and hopefully get them voted out coming next election. We've got a bunch more special elections coming up, and then we've got midterms obviously next year, and it's putting that pressure on. Because here's the thing is, you know what? It feels futile a lot of the time, all the protesting, all the knocking on doors, all the phone calls, all the emails that we've been doing. But those are the levers of power that we have at the moment. That's all we can do until the next election rolls around. And all we're doing right now is making sure that we're keeping their feet to the fire up until that election. So y'all are welcome to sit there and do nothing and criticize everybody who is out here trying to do something. But we are trying to use the platform that you all have been kind enough to give us to hopefully make some kind of difference and speak up for the people who don't have a voice or don't have the platform that we do. So we're always open to other ideas if somebody thinks something else will be more effective. But at this point, this is where we think that our resources and time are best spent, and that's what we're trying to fight for.
There's always a Jonathan Livingston Seagull, right? Fly in, crap all over everything, and fly out. I love it. So I just didn't think it would be in my live at 10 o'clock in the morning. So
you know what? There's always one or two.
Yeah. All right. Listen, guys, thank you so much, Optwagon, for coming in on this. If you want to donate, you can go to back40action.org, all spelled out, and you can donate there for the trip. If you want to come to D.C., send an email to the Back 40 family, all spelled out, the Back 40 family @gmail.com, and we'll get you over to our volunteer coordinator if you live in that area and you want to come help man the tent or help out with the events that are going on there. And remember, guys, it's not just visits to legislators. We're going to be telling a lot of personal stories, and I don't care who you are, having a disabled child talk about what it's going to mean for their family if they lose their benefits. That's going to help impact change and affect change out there in the country. So don't be a naysayer. Don't sit around and complain. Get up and come help us or make a donation to help us if you can. And OJW, thanks, man. I really,
Yeah, no,
really
absolutely.
appreciate it.
And guys, we will have a website coming up that'll be updating all the things because this is going to change and we're going to be adding as much. We might be adding a food drive because obviously people are losing their SNAP benefits. We are going to be constantly updating stuff. So we're working on getting a website up. Hopefully it'll be up by the end of the day today. And that will be Save the Heartland, because that's what we're calling this, by the way. We didn't even promote the name of it.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. You came up with it, so let me give you the honor.
It's Save the Heartland for the Heart, or from the Heartless. Save the Heartland from the Heartless is the name of the campaign that we're running out there in DC in our sit-in. So the website is going to be savetheheartland.com or savetheheartland.org. Both will take you there, and we will get that up ASAP. I've got my buddy working on it right now. But we're working on that. So follow that, and that'll keep up with everything. All the donation links will be there. But again, we're funding this. You know, it's couch cushions right now to make this happen.
It's a guerrilla tactic, guys. It's guerrilla marketing for sure.
So we're doing our best. So every single dime helps. We really appreciate it. So thank you guys. Have a great interview. I will let you guys get at it. Otherwise, you know, you and I will just keep rambling on here, and poor John.
Yeah, that's right. And John doesn't want to hear that for sure. So.
All right, it's nice meeting you, John.
Yeah,
very good. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, John, man, it is so good to have you on. I'm glad we were able to work this out.
Hey, Will, thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to be here with you, my friend. I mean, you're doing the hard lifting, and you're very passionate, and you're true to the work that you're doing, and I appreciate you.
Well, I really appreciate it. And so, John, I thought a great place to start would be is just to let you introduce yourself and talk about your background. And then if you don't mind, I definitely want to get into the office that you're running for and talk about that. But I'd like to start after you introduce yourself, talking about all the good work you've done at the NAACP, because I've been able to be a part of that to a certain extent over the years. And I'm really concerned about what I'm seeing in regard to the setback to voting rights and that type of thing. But why don't we start? Let me just give you the floor and you introduce yourself to everyone and we'll go from there.
Well, I appreciate that, Will. And first of all, let me apologize for not knowing that I was going to be part of the Cap Club this morning.
They can't have the color red. I'm not giving it to them.
I did bring my trusted fire district cap just in case. But hey, first of all, I am a lifelong public servant. It's in my DNA from my family's efforts in the civil rights movement. My father was not a high school graduate, but he worked very hard to take care of me and my sister, my mother as well. And they instilled a value system in us that says we are all better when we're all doing better together. So I grew up with the DNA that says, I want to do good. I want my children to do good. I want my neighbors' kids to do well. I want my friends' children and family to do well also. So it's approaching this from a humanitarian perspective. So I served in local government. I became a, let's see, wait a minute. Let's see, my camera's off.
There you go. All right. There we go.
All right. So I stumbled into local government, in short. I was a Little League baseball coach, and my alderman would not buy T-shirts for my team. He told me he had better things to do, so that kind of ticked me off. And I said, well, I think I'm going to run against the guy, even though I didn't think I would beat him. But as it turns out, my daughter wrote on a piece of paper, vote for my dad, he's a cool guy. And I shamelessly made 1,000 copies of that, and that became my campaign literature.
I love that. As a dad and grandpa, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I actually won. So I served in local government, and once again, there was a void in state government where I was voted to run for the state representative position that became open. And I served in the House of Reps for over 7.5 years. And prior to that, I was an electrician at the Chrysler plant for the UAW, where I worked for over 33 years. And I got the community service bug, because I really don't like playing a lot of politics, even though I know that's a part of the game. I just want to do the public service portion of it. So I maintained a status in community service by getting elected as a member of the fire district on Northeast MLS Fire Protection District, which you helped me do, and I appreciate that.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Yeah.
And before that, I was also vice president of the NAACP that ended up surprisingly becoming the president of the St. Louis County NAACP. And during that journey, I was exposed to a period where COVID existed.
Mm-hmm.
And similar to what we're about to face now, Will, people were without food. They were there were a lot of resources that were missing. So I managed to raise over $3 million. And for 58 weeks, rain, sleet, snow, cold, we were outside the NAACP office passing out food every weekend. And it warms your heart when you know you've been blessed enough to be able to help others, first of all. That is the reward within itself. So going past that, moving forward, I did not think I would engage in running for a public office again, but I'm just beyond the point of constantly allowing people to use that as the next job and uplifting and promoting people who underperform prior to the position that they're running for. And being unwilling to show courage and speak up for those who have put them in office to represent them in a much profound way. So after speaking with my family and others and friends, they felt like I would be the best support system for this community and speak truth to power, which I do now as president of the NAACP. I speak truth to power in tight spaces where I'm not welcome all the time. This Monday, I was standing with prominent attorney Ben Crump in regards to the young football players that were sprayed at a football game selectively, pepper sprayed.
Was that in Ohio, John?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I read about that. I've got a good friend that lives in Ohio, and he told me about that. That was amazing.
Yeah, the Cardinal Ritter Prep Lions. These kids are 14, 16 years old. And I played sports, Will. You probably remember. After the game, we go through these ceremonies. You know, you're kids. You're shaking hands or you're taunting each other, whatever you may be doing. But there was never a need to call the police into the situation. It was always handled by the administrators, the teachers, and the coaches. So we felt it was very disrespectful as to how they handled our kids. And Ben Crump happens to be my fraternity brother and a strong civil rights leader.
Yeah.
And so we're going to stand up for those kids and let them know that we're not going to sit on the sidelines and watch them be disrespected and basically racially profiled as they were in that particular situation.
Yeah, John, back in the day, if you acted up in the handshake line, your coaches got it under control, and then you ended up running about 100 hills the next Monday when you went to football practice. When I read that, I was just like, and I've seen that around the country 2 or 3 times where they just pull the trigger on that stuff. And let's be honest, it ain't no white private school out there getting pepper sprayed by the police anytime it happens.
No. In this school, it seems to have a culture or reputation like that. So we're gonna make sure they get the legal representation. First, we're asking for an apology. If they can't do that, then we'll litigate the whole situation. Secondly, I have put my hand back into the arena.
That's what everybody's asking about. So tell everybody what you're doing. Yeah.
All right, so I am running for State Senate and St. Louis County area, State Senate District 14, which is a very, very important State Senate district in the St. Louis region because it holds many of the economic pieces that create job opportunities as well as economic opportunities for this region and the state. The airport's in the district. Also, the University of Missouri St. Louis is in the district. And even Clayco, it's many other corporate entities that are a significant portion for creating the growth in this region that St. Louis not only needs, but the state of Missouri needs. So when I served in the House before, I was the vice chairman of economic development. And I learned firsthand as to how it's important for the business community and the workforce community to work hand in hand and to have a skilled, trained workforce to attract new businesses. So I'll be bringing those type of institutional knowledges about how that works as well as the ability to navigate and unite and work with others as needed to get a bigger goal accomplished. I'm not going to Jeff City to create more chaos. They don't need more help. They don't need any help from me with that. I am definitely going there to try to bring the adults in the room together and remind us of why we're really there. And that's to represent the people who sent us there. It's not about John Bowman. I'm basically at a stage in life, I probably could spend more time on a golf course and vacationing. But I have decided it's selfish of me to have had so much support and stand on the shoulders of so many other people and not put myself back out there to pay it forward. As I said before, I want my children, grandchildren, my neighbors, my friends. I want all people to thrive. I want us all to rise together, opposed to the climate that we are pushing uphill against right now.
Yeah. Hey, John, let me ask you a question about that. First of all, I admire anybody that runs for office, the House or the Senate in the state of Missouri, because you're automatically going into a lion's den where you're a minority in the state government. I think sometimes, though, people forget what an elected official can do, even if they're in the minority party. What would be some of your goals if you get elected to the state Senate and you're in the minority in the state Senate? What are some things that you can still do as an elected official to impact what's happening in the state of Missouri?
Yeah, sure. I mean, especially in the Senate, you tend to have more power to negotiate and to try to put together things that represent your district. So my goal is to, first of all, make it clear that what used to be 2 grocery bags are now 1. And basically, we can't continue to think that this country, this community is going to be able to move forward if affordability is not afforded to everyone. People need to be able to afford their groceries, their medicines, and as well as be able to get back and forth to work. And good child care is extremely important, especially for young families. So I'll be pushing on those issues and seeking ways to make it clear that everybody needs to pay their fair share, especially the wealthy. The billionaires, they have enough money right now. Just imagine if Bezos was to come and say, hey, I'm going to just, like his wonderful ex-wife is doing, say, I'm going to drop $100 million just for the school system. Look at how much difference that would make. Or even put some funding into early child care. It's just that I'm not knocking on people being successful and creating wealth, but they need to pay their fair share. We need to also look at some point, considering maybe removing the sales tax off grocery if we're going to keep going down this path. Those are things that I'll be looking at to make sure there's some balance, that it's not just a me system, it's a we system. And right now, we're headed over a cliff, not giving a return on the investment for the hardworking men and women, whether they're in the large cities or rural Missouri or rural states. You have to reinvest in the people that are the middle class of this country. I just don't see how we can move forward. Everyone needs to be able to not just survive, but thrive in this society.
I agree, John. And, one of the things that concerns me, and I know with your work at the NAACP, you've been on top of this. I'm really concerned. I'm a political guy too, because I've worked with you before to help get your message out. And one thing that really concerns me is the amount of, and I'm going to use quote marks here, the amount of legal voter suppression that's happening out there. And I call it legal voter suppression because it's being done through the legal process. In other words, they're passing legislation to make it harder to vote. But we've got 12 million people in this country in the general election in 2024 who were not able to vote, or their ballots were kicked out, or there weren't enough voting precincts in their it's funny how, as a 57-year-old white guy in rural Missouri, I have never had to wait for a voting machine when I go in and vote. But every single election day in the state of Missouri, I talk to one of my friends of color in St. Louis or Kansas City that tell me they had to wait 3 hours to vote, or they had to wait 4 hours to vote. Now, it can't just be a volume issue, because The same thing doesn't happen in predominantly white precincts in big cities. I don't ever have white friends calling me from St. Louis saying I waited 8 hours to vote. Can you talk to everybody about what's going on there and some of the work that you and the NAACP have been doing to fight that? And talk about these challenges we're seeing to the Voting Rights Act and how important all of us fighting on behalf of marginalized people to make sure that that vote is guaranteed. How important is that for the midterm election in 2028?
I appreciate that. For the past couple of years, we have been a plaintiff in a lawsuit against the state of Missouri on their efforts to deprive individuals of their basic voting rights. I said before the Attorney General and his assistants for about 4 hours in a deposition over the fact that they wanted to make it a felony for anyone to help a senior citizen who was trying to get absentee voting done.
Hey John, I want everybody in this live right now, stop doing what you're doing, and I want you to listen to what John just said. John, say that one more time.
So yeah, the NAACP, along with the Women League of Voters, we are suing the Secretary of State's office in the state of Missouri over legislation that was passed where they were trying to make it a felony if you were to help a senior citizen with their absentee ballot and criminalize people for simple basic voting rights. And that is that's a bridge too far. I mean, that is just absolutely cruelty at its worst level. And when you spoke to the VRA, the Voting Rights Act, if they were to gut Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, they have basically made it where they clear the path for a one-party system, and it will not include people of color. All the games that people like John Lewis, who were beaten on Pettus Bridge, who were attacked by dogs and inhumane treatment, all of those efforts that they put forward and sacrificed themselves for will all be for naught if they gut the Voting Rights Act. And it's just not sound politics to have it where people cannot have a representation that not only looks like them, but understands what their needs are. And so there has been this ongoing effort, it seems, by the top 1% that spend all of their time distracting us with a divide and conquer technique that creates a pathway for them to have total dominance, where it's not always what they try to portray as being will. You know, it's not urban against rural.
Yeah.
It's not young against old. It's top against bottom.
That's right. You know, and every once in a while, John, you and I have talked about this before. Every once in a while, somebody will leave a hot mic on, or, you know, there'll be a reporter standing by with their ears tuned to the ground. And like I remember in North Carolina and Wisconsin and once in New York, you'll have a Republican, when they think nobody can hear, they'll say, yeah, we're passing this law to keep black people from voting. They say it out loud.
Yes.
And it gets caught on a hot mic. And I talk to people all the time. And they're like, well, we're trying to make the voting more secure and all this other stuff that they come up with. And then a hot mic will catch a white Republican saying, we're doing this to keep black people from voting.
It is extremely clear that is the goal.
Yeah.
And, suppressing the black vote and the seniors vote gives them a path to put more control buttons in place to make the wealthy wealthier and keep those without a voice in underserved communities from having representation. Yeah. So we're going to stay in the courts. That seems the only barrier that we have in the lower courts, at least, and make sure that people's voices and their access to voting, they're not deprived of it. So once again, we have got to get past being distracted by this divide and conquer technique. We have got to understand that the top 1% won't be satisfied till they have total rule and domination over all of us.
Yeah. Don, how bad is it going to get if we don't all get involved in standing up against these Voting Rights Act assaults, and if we don't get behind politicians like you and others who aren't afraid to stand the line on this. How bad could it get by the midterms or the next general election? I mean, I feel like it impacted the last general election, preventing 12 million Democratic votes from counting, along with all the people that sat at home because they were angry. And I know I step on toes when I say that, but how bad could it get if we don't stop this?
Well, we're seeing signs of that already. You know, this administration has only been in office for 10 months, and the strategy of the Heritage Foundation on Project 2025, it looks like they've implemented over 75% of it already. And it is already overreach and crossing the line on constitutional rights. They have thrown the Constitution out the window, literally, and given clearance with the highest court supporting it to violating our constitutional rights. You know, they literally have people walking around with masks, kidnapping people off the streets. I'm sure COINTELPRO is in full effect under this DOJ. If we don't do anything to stop this wreck that's coming down the track, if we don't stop this train and this derailment that's coming down the track, our children and grandchildren will suffer for years to come. We will have pushed everything over the cliff, including the environment, just everything. I mean, healthcare, of course, is like on the line, as you see. The professionals are no longer giving us advice on healthcare. Mm-hmm. There are conspirators guiding our healthcare system. So we have to act swiftly, intentionally, and be engaged, and stop taking the talking heads point of view and running with them, but really look at the impacts on your life, your quality of life, that the people representing you are creating. I mean, if you want to talk about a professional politician, look at some of these people in Congress who are serving now, mm-hmm. who have been there since Jim Crow.
Yes.
And they basically still carry that same type of mentality with them. We definitely have to act and use our power as voters, and the people will always win. The people have more power than the people in power if we use it.
That's right.
Right now, when I watch these No Kings rallies, I love that, but I hope we can transfer that energy over into real action on election day.
Yeah, John, let me, we've got some new people that have joined, so let me give them an update real quick about what we're doing here. So folks, this is my good friend, John Bowman. He is the chairman emeritus of the St. Louis County NAACP. We have worked together on multiple projects over the years. He's also running for the state senate in the state of Missouri, representing the northern part of the northern portion of St. Louis County. And I wanted to bring him on today because I know him. I know what he stands for. I know what he has worked for in the past. I wanted to give him an opportunity before Election Day to come on and talk to you. John, I love the fact that you brought up healthcare. You know, I say this a lot whenever I'm out speaking all over the country or I'm doing lives or videos. Forget about how people in rural America vote and inner city America vote. Let's put that aside for a minute. Let's just talk about challenges. I'm amazed at how similar rural America and inner city America are when it comes to the challenges that we face. Now, take away the voting and civil rights challenges because that's a whole nother layer added on to the challenge for inner city people of color. But in rural America, we're less healthy. We have more diabetes. We have more obesity. We have fewer options in terms of healthcare. We have fewer options in terms of coverage for insurance, et cetera. And it's the same in our inner cities, exactly the same. When you look at the polling, it's not the polling of anger, it's the polling of feeling like you're being left out. Our streets don't get taken care of. Our sewer systems are worse. It's like a miracle in the neighborhood if somebody opens up a community center so our kids have a place to play. And rural America and urban inner city America share that. And this healthcare thing's got me scared to death. I mean, it's no secret. Like I'm not under the poverty line. But just me, my health care is going to go from $1,700 a month to over $3,000 a month. And I wondered if you could just talk about what is this challenge going to mean for the people in your district if we have 15 million people that lose their health care in this country and the Medicaid cuts on top of that?
Yeah, it is cruelty beyond the imagination. To think that healthcare, which should be just a given right. We shouldn't even, other countries have full healthcare coverage for their citizens. Here we are living in the richest country in the world, and we still have people starving. And I want to quote something that Coretta Scott King said. We need to remind people that starving a child is violence, and negligence of school children is violence. Punishing a mother and her family is violence, and being without health care is violence as well, because that is the core. Your health is your wealth, so to say. I mean, if you don't have good health care coverage, you're not going to be able to contribute to societies if you're always ill, can't make it to work, you can't take care of your family. And it's a burden on the healthcare system itself. It will burst open for lack of people. They're going to start back to use the emergency room as their healthcare service because they won't have coverage. And that is just the worst type of cruelty that we face in this country. What happened to the empathy with people being able to get served on things such as having food and health care? It is hateful. It is mean. It is not who we're supposed to be. We have to do better. And the only way we're going to do better is to get people who are not there as self-service politicians, but are there to serve the folks who send them there.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have a caring heart to be in this business. And you have to lead with a heart of service. As I've always prided myself as a leader of being a servant leader. When I knock on doors, I don't go to doors and tell people about what I'm going to do and what I'm going to blah, blah. I ask them, what do they think I need to do to help improve their lives? And I listen. And I get that from being a member of a union where I know that organizing, 90% of it is listening. But we're just on the wrong track. Healthcare, as you can see in both cities and in rural areas, if you lose a healthcare clinic and you have to drive 100 some miles for service, you have definitely put those people at risk. And saying the difference between life and death is time, there's no truer statement than that. I serve as a director of the fire district presently. And we lost trauma care 2 services in one of the areas in a predominantly Black community. So it goes from transporting a person in 10 minutes to get healthcare service to 30 minutes. So it's a 20-minute increase in the time it gets that person from an emergency to a life-saving authority or life-saving physicians, as well as keeping that ambulance out of service a lot longer for the next call. So all of those things spiral into a dark space that we could do much better with the type of country that we're supposed to be living in. There's no reason we shouldn't have universal health care. It just only makes sense.
Yeah, you know, another thing you brought up a little while ago, John, is the effects of cutting back on Head Start programs and that type of thing. I've read over the last 6 months, I've read multiple articles that say in rural America and in urban inner city America, Head Start is the #1 daycare program as well for low-income parents, meaning it's not just a great program to teach kids how to read and do all the other things that they need to do to be able to prepare for school, but its primary purpose in a lot of people's lives is to provide daycare. So when I became a single dad, my youngest was 15 months old and my oldest was 9 years old, and I became the primary parent. And I remember I went from a Friday not having any healthcare expenses to on a Monday to get them before school care and after school care. And John, this was 2000, okay? It was $1,200 a month. Now I can only imagine that that's gotten a lot more expensive since then. So I read a study the other day that said if we take Head Start away, it could mean as much as $24,000 in additional expenses for a parent with 3 children. And I just don't see how anybody, especially somebody on a fixed income, can absorb that. And that's why it makes me so happy to hear that you would fight for, Head Start every day that you're there. I just do not understand the cruelty of it all. I really don't.
Yeah, these things, you just have to have the political will and the heart to do the right thing. These issues do not have to be where we're still using terms like the working poor or food deserts. Those terminologies could easily be eliminated if there was not such a level of greed in society, as well as a level of heartlessness that we're facing from the elected officials that are supposed to represent us. And that's why I'm running, Will. I'm not one of those people who's going to sit on the sidelines and complain about things. I am going to get up and do something about it, because it takes courage to speak up and represent your constituents in the way they need to be represented, opposed to easily falling into the system and just becoming another part of the problem. I just wish we could get back to understanding that we have to do a better job of taking care of each other and not be a part of the divide and hatred that people on the top are really pushing down upon us. We're not that society. At least I hope we're not.
Truly, as a people, we're not. Maybe we are at the top ends, but you would think as a people we're not, because we're all suffering together.
Yes. No, we may have, as the saying goes, we may have come in here on different boats, but we're all in the same one now.
Yeah.
So we got to fight. We got to stay in the fight. We can't give up. They want us to give up and quit, but we have to make our voices heard. As I said, for the next generation, we owe it to them. And our children are watching us. And just think what you said on daycare, what you went through. Think about a single mother or a single father that's working 2 jobs and trying to take care of their children and absolutely receiving no assistance whatsoever to get this done. While people are wasting money on some of the most ridiculous things. I mean, enormous amount of taxpayer dollars are going to some of the most ridiculous things that you can imagine. And we could simply put that money to better use by helping individuals who are trying to go to work, taking those barriers out of their way with child care and health care, and making it where they can have a healthy life. What is so complicated about making those type of decisions?
And to that point, John, that you just made, back when you and I were not, when we were the spring chickens that we're not now, if you go back and look, I just, one day for kicks and grins, I did this. I went back and I looked at the year I was born, and I looked at the corporate tax rate and how we taxed the wealthy then. It was about 60% higher than it is now. And guess what? We still had the #1 economy in the world. We had a much higher rated education system. We had a much higher rated social safety net right after the Great Society was implemented. And then on top of that, all of these, doom and gloom stories they tell us that are going to happen if we tax the wealthy the way we did back in the day, none of those things were happening. And guess what? Our wages were higher as a percentage of what we spent. People could buy a house on one income and have a car and send their kids to college. And this doom and gloom, this fear factor that they try to put into us to say that, well, if we tax the wealthy like we did back in the day, the whole economy would collapse. That's, pardon me, but that's all bullshit.
It is.
It
is. And there are some wealthy who admit it. There are some wealthy people who say they don't mind paying their fair share.
Yeah.
But because the heavy lobbying that goes on, and some people get stronger voices because of the money that can be put behind the lobbying that goes on, the rules don't change for those who it should change for. And
that's right.
one thing that really hurt us as well was Citizen United. I mean, that that is create a situation where the voters' voice is weakened because the wealthy can purchase their politicians. I mean, they can literally put enough money up against you if you're trying to do what needs to be done. They can go and elect someone who's going to only do what they tell them to do because Citizen United allows you to put unlimited amount of money into these campaigns now, opposed to when I first ran for office, it cost me $6,000 to win a state rep seat. It costs a lot more than that now.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. The idea that I mean, nothing should shock me, right? But it's just, I remember I was a younger guy when Citizens United was decided on, but I just remember even, I think I was in my late 20s, early 30s when that happened. And I just remember thinking, we crossed the Mendoza line there. That was the bridge too far when we said that corporations are people and that they should have the same rights as individuals. There was just something inside me that knew that day this is going to be the death knell of the people's voice in American politics. I couldn't agree with you more.
But before I go, I do want to hit up on the SNAP benefits.
Talk about that, John, and if you could let everybody know how they can support you. Tell them when Election Day is and all that good stuff. And I want to make sure I let you get a plug in for that too. So
yeah, sure. So I am running for State Senate District 14. The election will be held next year, August 4th of 2026. So I'm about 10 months out. But I want to have enough time to contact and talk with as many people in the district as I possibly can to really get a feel for what they're going through and what they think I need to do if they choose me as their next senator. I do know how to navigate the field because I served as chief of staff in the Senate, even while serving in the minority party. And the Senate I worked for actually passed 11 bills, 11 meaningful pieces of legislation because we knew how to work together and get a compromise where everybody could agree. And that seems to be missing anymore. There seems to be no willingness to try and look at it from a viewpoint that different ideas create the best product. If we all come together and decide what we can. Nobody gets all of what they want. I'm realistic about politics. But you can get to a good point of realizing the basic requirements of child care, teachers getting a good salary for the work they do, first responders, and people who are very, very much important to the growth of this society, that we reinvest in them and make sure that they have the opportunity to fulfill what is supposed to be the American dream. And I hate that the American dream seems to be becoming the American nightmare. But this SNAP benefit thing is mean-spirited, it's hateful, and as I said, as Coretta Scott King said, starving a child is violence. And holding children hostage for political reason is the lowest level that we can get to. So just some of the numbers that I have come across is that in 2024, SNAP recipients as individuals in Missouri, that was 674,772. And 2024 SNAP recipients households, there's 331,053. And the federal law mandates that able-bodied SNAP recipients, SNAP applicants 16 to 59, to register for work and to meet general work reporting requirements. So 8 out of 10 families on SNAP include at least one person who has worked in the past year. 75% of recipients worked in the year before, a month after receiving benefits. Now, most not working have caregiving responsibilities, poor health, attending school, or they're looking for a job but just haven't found one. So, and SNAP is for food, plants, and seed only. Undocumented, unlawfully present immigrants are ineligible. So that needs to stop.
Well, that's another lie they tell, John. You know that.
They're not eligible. And SNAP covers what the charitable sector cannot, and that's feeding America. For example, the largest hunger relief organization in the country was reporting like $4.9 billion in donations in 2023, with less than 5% of SNAP's 107 billion in annual distribution.
Yeah.
There
There's
is
no way the private sector can make up for the government program that the American people wanted to put in place because as a country, we wanted to be judged as caring for our neediest people. And they do the same. All right. I'm only going to get on
you're
the
right.
soapbox.
No, you're
But
right, Will.
they do the same thing with Medicaid, John. I mean, when I was a kid, when my mom would pull out those food stamps, even though she was working full time and going to college full time, there'd be some old bastard in the back of the line that would yell, "Get a job." And my mom would cuss the bark off his tree. He didn't know who he was talking to. And the majority of people on Medicaid work, the majority of people on SNAP work, and yet they do their best to paint them as deadbeats that don't want to work, standing there in the house in their pajamas all day long. And that's a moral decision to do that. And it is wrong, wrong, wrong.
And there's a misconception that programs like SNAP predominantly benefit urban populations.
Yeah.
The highest percentage of SNAP recipients by county is Mississippi County
Yeah.
in rural Missouri.
It's out here where I live.
Yeah. And in St. Louis City comes in seventh place following all rural counties. Jackson County is 53rd behind most rural counties.
Yeah.
In St. Louis County, where I live, it's 102. So if we think of urban Missouri being Jackson County and St. Louis County, the population makes up 32% of our states. So the average SNAP recipient by county is roughly 15%. Those misconceptions are both SNAP benefits and on Medicaid. And I had the displeasure of serving the night that they decided to strip Medicaid down years ago, where they were denying individuals rights to oxygen tanks, wheelchairs, and the heartlessness that goes with that. They talk about these things in statistical numbers without putting the face of a human being on it.
Yeah.
And that is, to me, that is not showing humanitarian efforts that should be shown in these spaces. So I want to go back to Jeff City to try to bring some clarity back to the fact that we're talking about human beings. It's not just about increasing profits for the wealthy. It is about meeting individuals and human beings where they are and giving them what they need to move to a better place. I mean, if we're not there for that, then
Why go?
And government's not. There's the other misconception, Will. Government's not a business. People talk about, oh, he's a good businessman, so he should be a. No, government is not a business. It is there to serve the needs of the taxpayers of this country. That's what. And now we're picking winners and losers, and most of the time, the losers are the people who need the help the most.
Yeah. All right, John, last thing, if people want to learn more about you or if they want to donate to your campaign based on what they've heard today, tell us what your website is. Where can they go to do that? And if somebody is in your area or a constituent and they want to come drop literature or send out postcards, how can they do that as well?
All right. So great question. So you can find us at www.johnbowmanformo.com. And you can come to our website. There's a volunteer button on there. There's a donate button. Everything that you want to do to help clearly help me get back to Jeff City to be a voice of the people, for the people. You go to www.johnbowmanformo.com. And you can help us canvas. You can donate. Whatever contribution you want to make, we would be greatly appreciative of it, because this is not about John Bowman. I grew up in a clear environment of working class people. Like I said, my father worked hard. I worked hard for my children. I'm fortunate enough to have a good health care plan because of collective bargaining through my union. And therefore, I am going there strictly to serve the people. And that's the only reason that I have to go back to Delta City, is to make sure my neighbors, my friends, and my community can thrive as it should. So please join the campaign. It's a people campaign. It's a movement, and we need to get help from as many people as we can. You know, because of Citizen United, unfortunately, I have to raise an obscene amount of money to get the message out and be competitive. But I guarantee you, if you choose me as your next state senator from the 14th district, I will wake up every day thinking about the needs of our community and the needs of this state.
Well, John, thank you so much for coming on today. Let me look real quick. We had 16,000 people that came through today. So you got a chance to get your message out to 16,000 people. So that's awesome. And I wanted to tell you, once you get through the primary, I'd love it if we could do a back 40 day up in your district. Let us come help you drop literature and in the general election, and let's do everything we can. Now, is your district one of those where the primary is the real election? So typically whoever comes out of the primary wins? All right. So if you like what John said today, guys, the primary is the key election here. Get involved with his campaign. Go out there and help him drop literature. Make a $5, $10, $100, $500 donation, and let's get him across the finish line. So, John, thank you so much.
Well,
I really
thank you, my
appreciate
friend.
it.
Look
Yeah.
forward to seeing you. Come visit me soon.
I'll do it. Thank
right.
you so much. Have a good
Thanks a
day.
lot. Okay, have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I'm going to be doing a lot more of this. I hope you like what you heard from John Bowman. Candidates running for office are welcome to come in and do a live with me. I wanted to get John up here first because I know John really well. I've worked with him on multiple projects over the years, and I wanted to give him an opportunity to come up and speak. But if you know other candidates out there that are running for office, remember, we're going out to Washington, D.C. for this big event. I want to pitch it one more time. So time will be a little bit limited in November, but I'm happy to bring on candidates that are running for office, especially after the primaries. So wanted to give you guys a chance to hear from John. Remember, the big event in Washington, D.C., we've got the National Rural Teachers Association on board. The Farmers Union has been helping us out. The National Rural Health Association has been putting together data for us. We've got Little Lobbyists, an organization made up of parents with disabled kids who are going to be coming out to tell their personal stories. We're going to be doing legislative visits, etc. If you'd like to donate to the cause, we need to raise about $100,000, guys, to do this, and we're well on our way, but we need help. You can go to Back 40 Action, all spelled out, back40action.org to donate. If you live in that area or you've got the financial ability to come out and you want to help with the event, you can email us at theback40family, all spelled out, theback40family@gmail.com. Theback40family@gmail.com. Just send us an email and let us know that you'd like to volunteer, or you'd like to help out or donate bottled water, whatever it might be that you want to do. If you'll email us there, we're going to have a volunteer coordinator on board this weekend or Monday, and we'll get this information over to them and they can reach out to you to help out. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed listening to John today. Steph, thank you so much for dropping in and helping to moderate today. I really, really appreciate it. And listen, guys, I hope I didn't come on too strong in the beginning to some of our friends on the left that were bashing this event. We've got to do something. We don't have the luxury of just sitting at home and not doing anything. And the visits with legislative officials is only a small part of what we're going to do. To me, the most important thing we're going to be doing while we're there is getting out these personal stories from teachers, students, farmers, ranchers, kids with disabilities, their parents, etc. We need to get those personal stories out there so that people around the country can hear them and vote the right way in the general and in the primaries and in the midterms coming up next year. So I want all of you to have a great day. I appreciate everything you do for the Back 40. I say it all the time. All of these things we're doing and that I'm doing, we couldn't do any of it without the fact that you guys follow us, you buy into what we're doing, and you appreciate and support what we're doing. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate that. So have a great day, guys. I hope to hear from you soon. And we're going to be doing a lot of lives from Washington, D.C. When we go out there. So make sure you're watching. You need to make sure you follow us. You need to hit that heart me button up at the top, and that'll allow you to get notified when we come online. And, we couldn't do it without you. That's just all I'm going to say. Be safe tonight. If you're dragging those babies out there for candy, be safe. If you are in my neighborhood, I want to tell you I got a great candy lineup tonight. So if you bring your kids by my house, they're going to go by thinking they won the lottery. They're going to go home thinking they won the lottery. So everybody be careful. I love you all. Hang tight. Keep up the fight. And we will talk soon. I'll see you guys. Goodbye.